YouTube, Dave Medic 1 here. I'm going to be reviewing a couple knives for you today. Lucky enough to have come across these and be able to show them to you and actually experience them for myself. What you have in front of you, of course, you haven't noticed already, is a pair of zero tolerances. These knives here are a little on they're a little bit on the high end, and I was looking into getting into some ZTs myself, but really because of the limited knife shops or places around here, I haven't actually really had a chance to handle one. So luckily enough, a good friend of mine here on YouTube, Onikus, was speaking to him over the phone, and he was kind enough to go ahead and send these two my way so I could look at them and get a feel for what they're about. So basically here they are, and I'm going to go ahead and go over a couple stats and specs and stuff on this for you. That way you can kind of check them out. Now, these guys have probably been reviewed 100 times over on YouTube, but I'm just going to give you my impressions of this. So first up, we have a ZT-0200 Ken Onion design here. See that shine off that edge right there? These both have polished edges, and they're extremely sharp. Onikus really honed the crap out of these edges, and they're razor sharp. Did a really good job on it. Alright, on the 0200 here, we have that tungsten DLC finish on the blade. Of course, the blade steel on this one is 154 cm, and the blade length is 3.875. The entire length of this knife is 8.75 inches. It's a larger carry, a little on the heavy side, coming in at 8.75, or excuse me, 7.7 ounces. Of course, we have G10, 3D G10 there. Adds a lot to the grip to this and to the girth and width of the handle, which is actually really nice and really helps out with the ergonomics on this knife. By the way, which are very comfortable. And they make a lot of sense there. It fits in your hand really nice and gives you a really confident grip on this knife. So doing any kind of task whatsoever just is not going to be an issue. This one, this ZT right here, the blade width itself, it's pretty thick stock there. So definitely a heavy, hard use knife, well put together. The hardware on this is larger than what I usually see on many other knives. Even the open pillar construction in the back, these back screws are larger. The pivot's got an insanely huge fastener there holding it together, which is not something you commonly see. So definitely, when you look at this, you automatically assume it is a heavy use, hard use knife, and you can tell by the way it feels in your hand. It's a little heavy, but that's what you would expect with a knife that lends itself for heavy use. Really nice. The blade shape, you could definitely tell it's a Ken Onion with the real gradual drop point. Nice curve on the belly and the recurve. A common feature that you see in a lot of Ken Onion designs. Really nice and lends itself to be a good cutter, good slicer, good worker. And on the top, it's really hard to tell, especially with what I've got. Oh, you can kind of tell there. You've got a swedge towards the middle, widens out towards the tip to give you that added strength as far as where you would do any kind of penetration or whatever with the blade. So it does have the strength there. It's a really beautiful knife. Pocket clip on this guy is tip up, tip down, left, right hand carry. And I'm going to go over this pocket clip here in a second. When I go show you the next one here, but that's pretty much the 0200 there. You can find these for about $1.60. So it is a little bit more on. It's a little bit more expensive than your normal EDC carry would be, but it's worth it. I mean, with the 154 cm, you got 3D G10. A lot of the other features here, it's definitely worth the money. All right, now I've got the ZT350 ST. Really cool knife. the blade, again, tungsten DLC finish on this. Big difference between the 0200 is we got S30V on this. Excellent, excellent steel. Blade length is 3.25 inches. The total length on this is 7.75 inches. So it's about an inch shorter than our 200 here. One of the things I do like about this knife is that it's the jimping on the very top. Oh, excuse me, G10 milled scales there. Mildly aggressive, not too bad, but it's grippy. But getting back to it, you see the jimping up top, which is also which on the 200 only has it on the blade, but on the 350 it comes from the blade into the top of the spine of the knife there, and then you have it again towards the back. So as far as reverse grip, it's really comfortable, very secure. This feature I wish is something that could have been added to the 200, but not a big deal. This jimping across the top here, I think the reason why it extends further further across the top of the knife is because it's a little shorter, and your grip just lends itself to be right there. Where on the 200, the way the ergonomics are engineered, or the way your thumb sits right here, so the jimping up here makes sense. Doesn't really matter too much to have that extend on the top here, because where your purchase is right where the jimping is. So, but like I said, I wish it would have had the jimping towards the back. That way, with reverse grip, it's way comfortable. There, here again, on the 350, it's a $140 knife. But the reason being, it is you've got S30V as your steel. The construction is more heavy duty than your average EDC. Here again, with the pivot hardware being thicker than what you usually find on a normal EDC, and put together a lot stronger. Now, it's not as thick and it's not as hefty and beefy as the 200, but the way it's constructed and the way it feels at its hand, there again, it does lend itself for heavy use. Maybe not as extensive as the 200, but this would be more than an adequate knife to handle any EDC task, and even venturing into heavier EDC tasks. The ergonomics on this are, they're awesome on this. Very well thought out, feels really good. Little swedge up on the top of the blade right there. You could choke up on it for intricate cutting tasks if need be. Maybe some minor wood processing and whatnot. Blade shape is awesome on this. I really do like the blade shape. Really good, just well put together knife. I'm liking it a lot. Pocket clip options are just the same as 0200. Tip up, tip down, left, right carry. Back to the pocket clip. As far as EDC goes on this guy, this slips in your pocket and it's nice and secure. It'll slip right in and the pocket clip will hold it right in place. The reason why I'm bringing this up is one of the very few flaws, if any flaws, on the 200 is a pocket clip. The tension on it is so tight and so hard that it makes it almost nearly impossible to clip it in your pocket. I spoke to Onyx on the phone, and he kind of brought it to my attention. I talked to him 20 minutes after I received these knives in the mail to let them know I had them and all this good stuff. And he's like, try to put this in your pocket. So when I did, I noticed that it was such a pain in the butt to get this to clip in my pocket. And then we talked a little bit more about it, and we figured out that I think he had let me know that these pocket clips right here, if you notice, they're identical. They use the same pocket clip for the 0200 as they do in the 350. If you notice right here that the width of the stock of the G10 is thicker on the 200 because it's 3D. You need a little thicker G10 to go ahead and do the 3D milling on that. But the problem with that is it being thicker, it causes the tension for the pocket clip to be tighter because now it's fastened onto something thicker. Where this is maybe a half a millimeter or a little bit narrower, so the tension is not there. This is almost impossible. Now, it's not a deal breaker at all. You could always bend the pocket clip if you're careful, and get that to work out for you, or just deal with it and eventually it will kind of conform to what you need it to. But overall, these two knives, I'm very impressed with the way these guys are put together, fit and finish. The 200 is so smooth and deploys so nicely. It's kind of reminiscent to, we got a Canon Foresight, very smooth. Not as smooth as this Foresight, but I think it would be if it had the IKBS system like the Foresight does. So without having an IKBS system in there, this thing deploys smooth. Now, I don't know, it may have it in there, because this thing does deploy rather smooth, but usually they print IKBS on the blade. They're very proud of that, so it would be, I imagine it would be printed on the blade, which it is not on this. So, I mean, either way, this knife deploys smoothly, and with the weight and the thickness, I mean, for as much weight and how big the blade is, for it to deploy that smoothly is just incredible. The 200, or excuse me, the 350 has the speed assist system in there, and it deploys extremely fast and with authority. I mean, when you deploy it, that knife shakes as soon as it locks out. I mean, it's a strong spring, and you find that with all the speed assists on the Kershaw's. So it's not, it doesn't surprise me at all. But that's just really wicked fast, and it locks up with authority. Both of these knives are rock solid lock up, and just very, very, very impressed with them. As far as the price goes, at $160, $140, yeah, they're worth the money for sure. But I think when I get, and this is my opinion here, because I have limited funds when I go to purchase knives, disposable income from hobbies. In my opinion, myself, I probably save the extra $110 that I would spend for the 160 and get maybe, or spend for the 200, which is 160, and get into a 300. But that's debatable. I mean, I really do like this knife. I favor this knife over the 350, but just simply for the fact that that I do like larger knives. As you can see here, I've quite, I've got a nice selection of larger knives, and basically, that's what I like. So I have a lot of knives that are about the size of the 350 to fill the role that this would fit. So me personally, I would lean towards something larger, this being 8.75 inches. Very hefty carry. So with that being said, definitely worth the value on it. I'm really glad to actually be able to physically hold these knives and actually before making a purchase, because it is a lot of money. So I suggest with a lot of you guys, if you have an opportunity to handle these knives before you purchase them, then I would suggest it, because they all have really good qualities. They differ from each other, even though if you step back and look at them, they may not look all that different, but they all have a lot of really cool things that may cater to what you like more. So holding them ahead of time, handling them, I definitely recommend it. But they're really, really nice knives. I mean, I can't say enough good stuff about them. Like I said, I'm really happy to have them here and actually look at them before making the purchase. No matter what, I am going to get a ZT. Now, whether it's going to be the ZT200 or the 300 or maybe one of the other models, I don't know yet. But I feel a lot more confident handling these knives now. I feel more confident spending that amount of money on this knife because the quality is there. Fit and finish. The tolerances, the way they function. It makes sense. It's well thought out. They feel great in the hand, and they look really good. So, not to mention, you have the, I guess, what they call the pride of ownership of having a ZT, and I don't have one in my collection yet. Definitely something that's really making me want to go ahead and pull the trigger on getting one of these soon. So, anyway, guys, that's my kind of first impression on these knives. They are a little bit more expensive, but still good value for what you're getting. Like I said, 160 and 140. Of course, I got those those prices basically off of Blade HQ, so you may be able to find them for a little cheaper. I usually use that as a reference as far as the middle of the ground as far as pricing goes. So I appreciate you guys taking time to watch the video here. All your comments are welcome. If you have any experiences with the ZT or anything that could help me as far as in the future making a decision going either way, post them below. I'd love to hear about it. Again, I thank you for your support. Peace.